friends of our channel and YouTubers, welcome. Answers of an Alien from Andromeda, Video 91, September 25, 2012. Mythi, give us a light on the meaning of life, the sense of being immortal. What would be the ultimate goal of all this evolution? We all become gods, and we sat contemplating and creating universes? You see, this question is an interesting reflection. In tens of thousands of years, you guys will be wondering the same thing and are going to possibly better understand the possible answers. Limiting ourselves to our current universe, I can shed some light. One day, you too will be part of the act of creation, creating new colonies from primitive beings, giving your DNA so they will have the possibility of development, giving all the initial guidelines and watch them grow as seeds of your race. You will be considered gods by them. Breeds from level 6 upwards, create colonies to collaborate on the development of our universe, of which we will leave only after completing all the required cycles, including cycles as creators of worlds. You will also be incubators of other planets, in your and other distant galaxies, and the human race of Earthlings will spread increasingly across the universe with so many other races, sown by other cultures. The perception of divine depends on the point of reference of the observer conscientization. An inferior race, that receives the blessings of knowledge, guidance and crossbreeds with beings coming from the stars, will revere these teachers as gods, and will try to live according to the guidance received. Societies to level 3 cannot currently allow to develop new hybrid humanoid races, without the direct supervision of their own early mentors, so that the control of genes is relevant to the original, correcting possible adaptations generated by several generations in controlled environments. All DNA and all hybridizations came to be filed in the corresponding galactic communities for any future reference. Previously, any race promoted colonies with crosses with native societies and created slaves, laborers and servants. There was no control, many mistakes were made and many bad races were generated. Before the creation of regulatory galactic communities, many breeds created randomly not worked very well. They have become unstable, creating unexpected changes themselves. These procedures created societies with genetic abnormalities, sometimes with advanced features but with deviations of personality and behavior generated by the side effects of their own creation. So now, any other humanoid hybrid that is created to a new colonization native, should be analyzed and certified by the most advanced societies normally involved in the initial creation of the DNA to be transferred. It may seem a little complicated, but it is a system that has functioned very harmoniously. Again, in the case of Earth, for being a reformatory, many of these breeds with problems were brought here as a last resort to attempt in an isolated development. This natural filtering process meant that societies pass here for more problems than most other societies on other planets' colony. Therefore, all who pass level here deserve serious consideration as a new breed. They are the survivors forged by its own merits. As this question will be made with certainty, I will answer now. The reptilians are not humanoids, and all attempts to hybrids between them and humanoids did not work. They keep trying, because their great desire is to create societies that can be considered humanoids, and from their past to participate in humanoid colonizations through the universe. It's unlikely, but hopefully it will happen one day, because the desire to be a humanoid is a laudable desire anyway. Responding to another question that CB passed me, no, there is a race of reptilians living here since the time of dinosaurs. There is no race of intelligent reptilians locally developed sharing this humanoid colony, only reptiles that you already know in your fauna and those who came in spaceships. Some of you are still doing very picturesque conjectures on dimensions, without fathom that other dimensions are only other observation points. Soon, everyone will realize that there is so much to do in the third dimension, that any detail of a fourth dimension is totally irrelevant and without any practical use, because it is not the same reality that we live here in our sparsely populated universe. Understand an important principle: the more populated is our universe, will be the fastest development of all as a whole. You can spend 3,000 to 5,000 years at level 1 and be prepared for 2,000 to 3,000 years at level 2, 3,000 to 5,000 years at level 3, 5,000 to 6,000 years in the level 4 and so on. These periods between levels will decrease appreciable, the more our universe is populated. But anyway, it's much better to spend 6,000 years in level 4 than 3,000 years at level 1. There are societies that are over 20,000 years at level 1 by problems linked to their own doctrines. When you will able to see and understand all the ways that must be trodden until level 9, will understand the meaning of all that I have spoken in these 2 years. Currently, about 20% of the population will have possibly changed their frequencies together with the frequency of the planet. I said that up to 32% could be housed underground, in shelters provided for this purpose. Not necessarily need to be level 1 to be taken to shelters. Look, the important thing is that there are thousands of levels 1 waiting to incarnate on this planet now for the next generation. They are spirits of other races who will participate in the development of this new society as Earthlings. Understand that basically, we are all brothers forever. The shelters are being finalized. CB has helped us opining on essential items that should have shelters to house certain ethnicities and not cause very large shocks in different eating habits and customs. Many reports have been forwarded to complement the reports of Pleiades living between segments of your society. The operational bases are a different matter from shelters. The shelters have no connection with any base of operations. Many bases are already sealed, some will keep maintenance crews. Only the Great Base Antarctica will be active for any support to spaceships in service. Reports from Pleiadians, regarding specific operational plans, is matter between them and the CG. When some action is of general character involving all participating fleets, I can anticipate the issues for you. The Pleiadians will be responsible for decontamination of nuclear plants when and if things reach a critical state. This will be done not to help your governments but by the people and for the protection of wildlife remaining on the planet. The pole shift is happening. With the increasingly close alignment, the declination of axis of the planet will follow the direction of the resultant vector of energy flow received from the gravitational center of the galaxy, against the inertia of the rotating mass of the planet. This is already happening, can be accelerated for a few days, for large emissions of protons coming from your Sun, as this will deform the magnetic field in such a way that it forces the core to rotate in the liquid magma. The nucleus, being heavy, has a sort of gyroscopic rotation. He struggles to keep the original relative position due to large inertial mass, but cannot keep up against much more powerful gravitational forces. It can happen anytime. I cannot speak on exact dates as I have explained, but will happen in these remaining days of the year. Look, the immediate problem is the release of internal pressure on the planet, and not the declination of axis. The declination of the magnetic axis is not a problem, except for your satellites and navigation, but the problem is the migration of the geographical poles to the new position of the rotation axis relative to the Sun, but this change will be slower. Be assured that whatever has to happen, will already be planned in the natural law of universal order, and the planet will survive, as well as this colony. You will not be alone. Some unanswered questions are now taking advantage of our friend Thomas' questions. The big differences in ethnicities on your planet are the result of many groups from different levels of consciousness that were directed here. A great mix of ethnic groups advance, with very ignorant deviations of personality and wickedness have more fertile field among the most favored. The better and more comfortable lives a race here, the better the chances of not evolve on a planet with so many social disparities, because the liability with respect to disadvantaged ethnic groups should be a priority for a real attempt to stabilize the planet's aura. The comfort should be connected directly to the conscience. If someone was well born and lived irresponsibly, enjoying his current condition with an abundant life, regardless of an equal which has little chance of staying alive, certainly not return for several incarnations as an athlete or rich to realize the same mistakes. This is not punishment from God, no. It is a misconduct for which you created yourself. The better you are born as humanoid, the greater your responsibility towards the less fortunate. Richness, beauty, athleticism, health, these are trials more important than you realize. Many people fail when it reaches these points, many lose many incarnations until they develop the balance of awareness needed to realize what is right and what is superfluous. You can see people that live longer are those in regions where their food contains no preservatives and poisons that increase the profit of your industries. Those who are well off, they always want more, even if it take a little more, of who have almost nothing. Many recycle the misery and ignorance of their own people, to maintain control and power. In a society level 1, these discrepancies tend to disappear, consciousness will take the reins of social development, and there will be a huge respect for your fellows, even the humblest. Human rights need not be written on paper, must be born in the conscience of each, and be part of the third eye, the one that observes and integrates your soul to the universe, which will be at your fingertips. Friends, take a huge quartz crystal, 1 of a ton. Break it until it turns into dust. If you look at the dust under a microscope, you'll see thumbnails of the crystal 1 ton, identical, and even the smaller pieces will have the same piezoelectric characteristics, similar to large, in the right proportions of power. We are the bits, we have the same features as our Creator, but we are still only very little ones. The more we unite, the larger the crystal we will form together. Be well, friends. The light will be with you all. Thanks for watching. Join our channel. You are welcome there.